Hello everyone, it's another lesson here on the Alak Emmett channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon for July 3rd, 2021. This lesson is titled High Ones and Kings. And I'm going to talk here again about Isaiah chapter 24. And in this lesson I'm going to show how the prophet Isaiah already showed how the elite will be captured and the kings, the powerful ones, the leaders, the rulers, the evil ones who are running the world into chaos. And even with all these lockdowns and so on that we've got. So let's look now first at Psalm 149, verse 6 to verse 9. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. So they're going to do massive fighting. To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. So Isaiah is saying that his people, the Israelites, will be doing this in the end times. They are going to bind the kings of the heathen nations and their nobles with iron, and they're going to execute vengeance upon them and upon their people as well. Verse 9, to execute upon them the judgment written, this honor have all his saints, praise ye the Lord. So here Isaiah now is giving you an idea of what's in store for the elite and the high ones, the rulers, which are the presidents and prime ministers of the world who are doing evil and wickedness on the earth. He's saying they're going to be captured, put in chains, and put in a pit and so on, and they're going to be bound and they're going to get their punishment eventually. So they're having a heyday right now, and they're doing whatever they please to the earth, whatever they please to people and so on, locking down and doing all this kind of stuff. But we're going to see here in Isaiah chapter 24 that even the lockdowns that they're doing, see, this is another picture that you're getting. See, a lot of times people focus on this New Testament book of Revelations, mark of the beast, and everybody's so afraid and so on. But the prophets already told of the end times. They already told of that. And here Isaiah is giving you a picture. People say to themselves, oh, when you see the mark of the beast being rolled out upon the earth, that means the end is upon us. Isaiah told you a different story. He says, not the mark of the beast, but when you see the lockdowns happen, that's when you know the end is near. But they try to distract you from what the prophet said in the Torah by giving you a focus that is locked in on a 666 mark of the beast. But Isaiah said, he said nothing about looking for the mark of the beast. He said, watch those lockdowns. And we see lockdowns going on all across the earth. Isaiah said, watch the lockdowns. But people are instead keeping their eyes on 666 and trying to figure out what 666 mark of the beast really is. Is it this or is it that? But Isaiah said, those lockdowns, that's what's going to happen. The lockdowns are going to do in the elites of the world, the kings, the presidents, the prime ministers, and so on. The ones that get all the fancy popular votes, the big votes, and so on. Now let's look in Isaiah chapter 24. We'll do verse 6 and 10 and then run close down to the end. So Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 6. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Few men left. So something drastic has taken place on the earth. It is called the curse right here. Few men are left. All the sicknesses, the illness of viruses, the wars, and so on, and everything. It's going to be massive. Verse 10. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, and no man may come in. Now, doesn't that sound like a lockdown to you? Every house is shut up, no man may come in. So what we're going to see here is that Psalm 149 shows they're going to be put in a pit and so on. That's talking of some end time judgment. But Isaiah is letting you know also that when you see the houses shut up, that is a sign that the end is upon us. So these elites locking down the earth, and these kings, prime ministers, presidents, and so on of the earth that are assisting them in pulling this off, they are all flirting with their own disaster, with danger that will come upon them. This is what the prophet is saying in the Torah. Because the lockdowns will actually lead eventually right into their own demise. Their own capture will come out of a lockdown. Because they're going to, pardon me, piss off some of the other rulers on the earth who are going to go into war, and eventually they're going to get captured and so on. But I'll tell you more about capture in another lesson, because the children of the Most High are going to capture them. But if we go on here now, let's go down to verse 20 to 23. And it says, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. So the earth is going to just go downhill, and it can't come back up. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the hosts of the high ones that are on high, the elites and so on, right? And the kings of the earth upon the earth, they'll be punished. So the Lord is going to do this, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners. And who's going to be gathering them? Well, Psalm 149 just told you that I read that, it's basically the children of the Most High that's going to do it. They're the ones that's going to do it, because everybody else has their own power right now. They have their missiles and nuclear weapons and their armaments and all their millions and millions of guns and billions of ammunitions and so on, and they're not doing it. But the children of the Most High, they're going to get the job done. They're going to pull it off, because nobody else really wants to do it, because they're all being played and they all support and work for the elites. That's it. But the children of the Most High, they're not going to pull up with that. They're just going to do what the Most High wants done on the earth. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the hosts of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the prison, and after many days they shall be visited. Means after a while they're going to be pulled out to be punished. So they're just going to be locked up first. So all the names are here there that are at the top of running this whole sort of lockdown and so on. The lockdowns are going to lead right into them, because as I was reading earlier, the lockdowns are coming out of the curse, and the house is shut up, few men left. And if you read the whole chapter, which I didn't want to do, it's going to tell you that it's going to be like the gleaning of the grapes. So the lockdowns are going to happen, things are going to be forced on people, and the gleaning of the grapes is that the shaking, and only a few people will be left hanging on, who will stick with the Most High through it and won't give in. And in your case now, if you believe New Testament, you'll be saying it's the mark of the beast. You're gonna, the ones who resist the true mark are gonna be the ones left holding on when you deal with the gleaning of the grapes, and when they're shaking the vine like that, and the grapes and so on. The weaker ones fall off. Only the right ones that trust the Most High are gonna hold on. Verse 23, then the moon shall be confounded, and the sun ashamed, when the Lord of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and before his ancients gloriously. So you see, he's giving you a picture of the end time stuff. Houses shut up, all these things are going to lead right into their capture. Right into their capture. Houses shut up, and the massive pressure being put on the people of the earth. Massive pressure when people are just like, you can't even go to work to feed yourself properly and to take care of your family and so on. All this stuff. And then even the moon, he's saying, the sun and the moon, right, shall be confounded, the moon confounded and the sun ashamed. And they said in the 90s, Russia tried to do some fake sun with some mirror stuff. It didn't quite work out. And now you got China making fake sun and moon, which should be rolled out. What we see now with China making fake sun and moon, but this is telling you here the end time now, people are focusing, like I said, on 666 mark of the beast. But in the end time, Isaiah, you see, they don't want you to focus on this stuff. They've got you in fear. And so the mark of the beast is also about fear. Because they keep you in fear, it's about fear and distraction. Even with the time of Nebuchadnezzar and 3 Hebrew boys, it's a lot of fear that they put in to get people to bow down and worship that image, and distracting you from worshiping the Most High, and taking you away from the Most High. And now we see it here again, that 666 stuff is distraction with fear of taking the mark of the beast and trying to set up chip and everything to distract people and to trick you, so that you do not focus and see what the word is saying, what the end will actually be. The end is going to keep these things in mind. Is going to let you have these things in mind. The shutting down, the repeated locking downs, the lockdowns, Isaiah 24, is going to lead to the capture of the elite and the kings and so on of the earth that are doing these wicked things. And also the massive pressure on the earth, and the earth, the people of the world can't pay their bills properly anymore and so on, can't go to work. Massive pressure from governments and armies and police forces just going haywire, treating people like they're military and so on. That's what's going to happen. And also the moon being confounded and the sun ashamed. This is end time stuff. This is when you know the end is upon us. This is when the end of the world as we know it now is going to be. When you see even the sun and the moon being confounded and ashamed. So now China making fake sun and fake moon, but they tell you focus on 666. They're trying to launch up fake sun and moon 2020, I think 2020 or 2022. I think they said, can't remember, something like that. But you see, they're making fake sun and moon because they want to block out the real sun and moon from the Creator. To put up fake sun and moon so that you cannot connect properly with the divine. And how is that going to affect earth and so on? And they know that stuff can't run earth, that fake sun and moon, but they're trying something. They're trying it. Because they are desperate to be more evil, professionally evil. But this is the sign of the end, the sun and the moon. So don't just focus on your New Testament, Revelation 666. I'm not trying to take you away from that. It's actually funny, it's humorous and so on, because now I see it different. Not that they're not going to try to push through chip, and now they're coming out with special card for you to show that you have taken the jab and so on. You see, they'll spend all kinds of money to put technology behind that to get you to focus on something else. It's just another pressure that they spend their money on. And rolling out military to pressure people going door to door and so on. But they're going to be disappointed because the Most High is going to jack them up in the middle of what they're doing. They're going to look like they're winning and pulling it off at first, but eventually it's going to just come, like the Most High said, it will come down with pain upon the head of Esau. Because I didn't read it, but if you go, I don't even want to get into it because it's too much more reading, but he's saying, I think it's Isaiah 24. Well, okay, let's just do it quickly here. I think verse 15 and 16. Wherefore glorify, so by the way, before that now, verse 14 actually, it's showing the problems that are coming on the earth to grip the earth with massive troubles, massive problems, people's lives destroyed, businesses, companies, everything, countries just going downhill because the earth is falling and it will not rise again. But verse 14 here, or 13 rather, when thus it shall be in the midst of the land among the people, there shall be as the shaking of an olive tree and as the gleaning grapes when the vintage is done. They shall lift up their voice, they shall sing for the majesty of the Lord, they shall cry aloud from the sea. Wherefore glorify ye the Lord in the midst of glorify ye the Lord in the fires, the name of the Lord God of Israel, and so on. From the uttermost part of the earth have we heard songs and so on. So you read the rest of it yourself. That in the middle of all this chaos on earth, the children of the Most High are going to start glorifying the Lord from the midst of the sea. Right? So they're going far away lands and so on. They're glorifying across the seas and so on. They're starting to remember the Most High. They're now singing the praises to the Most High because they're seeing the word is coming true and the deliverance is coming upon them. Why in the midst of all this chaos on earth are they going to start glorifying? Because they are the ones, the children of the Most High, starting to receive salvation in the midst of all the lockdowns and the chaos. I mean, the real mad, crazy lockdown that will come in the future. Not these little test ones that they're running and so on, but the real massive ones that's coming, that's going to lead to the arrest of the elites and the kings of the earth. But in the middle of that, the children of Israel will be saved. So the scriptures in the Torah, without you even considering Revelations, is starting to give a picture of end times. And I got another lesson to do to show you another picture of the end times, certain things that are going to be happening. So one way you're going to know the end times is the lockdowns, which you're practicing now. And then there is another one that's coming, a very big, massive sign. Probably 2 years now I've been preparing that lesson. I actually finished it. I just didn't bother recording it. I got to finish up the notes properly. But I got to do that one for another sign. When you know a massive sign of the end and it's right, we are looking at that sign every day. And if they tell us this is right, if these things were written from these prophets 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years, whatever, however long they lived, 1,000 years, then now we're actually seeing the sign. Every day you go out and you walk and you drive and so on, you see the signs. This one sign in particular that I'm going to make up a lesson on. So you keep with my channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, Yalak Emmett channel, and you're going to hear that lesson. And it's going to be, when you see it in the scriptures, you're going to be just like, my goodness, a lockdown, and then this is coming. And we're actually looking at it right now. You will not deny that the prophet already told you when your deliverance is coming, when the end is coming. So I will not present it as a particular date because the prophet did not give a date. Because I don't know, it's just how people saying the rapture is coming July 15 and all. How are you going to know that? You know, they say all this crazy stuff. So I don't know any particular date, but I know the season of it is here, is starting up because it's on the earth already. And it's coming to you again on the Yalak Emmett channel. Thanks for listening. The high ones and the kings are going to be punished because the lockdowns are going to lead right into their capture, right? The lockdowns on the sun and the moon, the fake sun and the moon that China is making and so on. It's all a part of their capture. These things are going to show their capture. When you see them launching that stuff up in the sky, lockdowns are launching up and so on. These are the end times for them and the rising of Israel, the children of the Most High. Thanks for listening.